Hey guys, welcome to the Bitcoin Fortress podcast, helping you increase your financial freedom. This is episode 126, recorded here on July 28th, 2024. This podcast is for entertainment only and is not investing advice, so please do your own homework. Well, we'll start with a market update. The S&P 500 on Friday ended a wild week, nearly 1% lower, primarily due to a continued sell-off in technology stocks. The S&P 500 information technology sector has now slumped more than 7% in 2 weeks. Meanwhile, the rotation trade has continued with the equal weight S&P up about 1% for the week, and the barometer for small caps, the Russell 2000, up more than 3%. An eventful 5 days saw market participants digesting yet another twist in the U.S. election race at the beginning, followed by a dramatic sell-off in the middle and a rebound at the end. Eyes now turn to the Federal Reserve's latest monetary policy rate decision next week, where the central bank is expected to pave the way for a rate cut in September. For the week, the S&P 500 retreated 0.8%, while the tech-heavy Nasdaq Composite slipped 2.1%. The blue-chip Dow Jones Industrial Average climbed 0.8%, and that's the news on the markets. Bitcoin had a pretty wild week. Up and down, especially with some speakers at the Bitcoin conference, which I'll be covering that next in a little recap of the conference. But for the week, it looks like Bitcoin was up about 1.95%, currently trading at $68,197.07 as we record this right now. Jumping into the top Bitcoin news, we'll start out with Block 854134, important news of the week, courtesy of No BS Bitcoin. OpenSats, a nonprofit dedicated to supporting Bitcoin and Freedom Tech developers, granted support for 7 Bitcoin projects, Pure Storage backups for Lightning channels, SECP 256K1.Swift, Blitz Wallet, nLightning, eNuts, GoNuts, and Bitcoin fees. OpenSats also announced long-term support or an LTS grant for Hodlbod, the creator of the Nostr web client Coracle, and long-term support for the Nostr developer Fiat Jaff. A BitAxe has found a block. A solo Bitcoin miner with 3 terahash per second has mined block 853,742, overcoming odds of 1 in 1.2 million and earning 3.192 Bitcoin, approximately $200,000. Good for them. A Bitcoin miner manufacturer Canaan urges all Avalon Nano 3 home miner users to update their Avalon remote app to the latest version and use it to upgrade the firmware of their Nano 3 machines. Swan Bitcoin, a Bitcoin-only investment platform located in California, is halting its managed mining operations that were disclosed earlier this year. The company is also scrapping its plans to go public, said CEO Corey Clipston. The changes also include staff cuts across many functions. Bitcoin miners on KYC Mining Pool Founder USA can now make donations to open source developers through nonprofits like Brink and OpenSats. Public Bitcoin miner Mara, formerly Marathon Digital, announced the purchase of 100 million in Bitcoin, now holding over 20,000 Bitcoin. The company will adopt a full HODL strategy for its Bitcoin treasury policy, retaining all mined Bitcoin while making periodic strategic open market purchases. Bitcoin miner Hut8 won a $138 million breach of contract lawsuit against Mara, which intends to appeal the verdict, reports the Miner Mag. Riot Platforms has acquired Kentucky-based Bitcoin miner Block Mining in a $92.5 million deal expected to add 60 megawatts of capacity. Ontario Capital Markets Tribunal supported Riot's request to terminate Bitfarms' initial poison pill strategy. In response, Bitfarms adopted a new shareholder rights plan to protect against creeping bids, allowing shareholders to receive one right per share if anyone acquires 20% or more of the shares without making a permitted bid that meets specific conditions. Mining hardware producer MicroBT introduced its latest WhatsMiner M6XS Plus series during the Bitcoin 2024 conference. The new series includes air-cooling WhatsMiner M60S Plus up to 210 terahash per second with a power efficiency of 17 joules per terahash, hydro-cooling WhatsMiner M63S Plus up to 450 terahash per second, power efficiency of 17 joules per terahash, and WhatsMiner M64 up to 206 terahash per second, power efficiency of 19.9 joules per terahash, and immersion cooling WhatsMiner M66S Plus up to 318 terahash per second, power efficiency of 17 joules per terahash, according to Bitcoin Magazine. Meanwhile, Auradine, a U.S. Bitcoin ASIC chip manufacturer backed by Marathon, has begun shipping its 3-nanometer Teraflux 2800 series miners. The air-cooled model AT2880 delivers up to 260 terahash per second, while the single-phase immersion miner AI3680 offers 375 terahash per second and 14 joules per terahash efficiency in optimal mode. Cathedra Bitcoin has successfully merged with Kungsleden Inc., forming a new entity that will manage 95 megawatts of power and hash rate of 4.8 exahash per second. Bitcoin mining firm Cormint Data Systems has raised $29 million in a Series B equity funding round, co-led by existing investors. Satimoto, a privacy-friendly electric vehicle charging app utilizing Bitcoin via the Lightning Network for micropayments, will disable services starting September 1st, 2024. All of Satimoto's code is FOSS and available online. Satoshi Pacioli Accounting is offering free tax preparation, filing, and consulting services to US-based open-source Bitcoin developers. Ego Death Capital has raised $43.35 million in commitments for its $100 million second fund targeting Series A Bitcoin technology startups. Metaplanet, a Tokyo-listed investment firm, purchased an additional 20.381 Bitcoin, or $1.27 million. This brings its total holdings to 246 Bitcoin, worth approximately 2.45 billion yen, or $15.5 million. Real Bedford Football Club has acquired 66.9 Bitcoin for $4.5 million, averaging $67,220 per coin. The club now holds a total of 82.7 Bitcoin, purchased for about $5.37 million at an average price of $64,925 per Bitcoin. Club owner Peter McCormick noted that 15.8 Bitcoin is earmarked for football operations, while the rest is held in treasury. Bitcoin financial services company Fold is set to go public on the NASDAQ via a merger with special purpose acquisition company Emerald Acquisition Corp., valuing Fold at $365 million. After the merger, Fold expects to have over 1,000 Bitcoin on its consolidated balance sheet. Luxury car brand Ferrari announced that it will expand its acceptance of Bitcoin and other digital currencies to its European dealer network starting at the end of this month. This follows its initial rollout in the United States last year in partnership with BitPay. Jersey City, New Jersey plans to invest part of its pension fund in Bitcoin ETFs, as confirmed by Mayor Stephen Fulop. The city is updating its paperwork with the SEC and expects to complete the process by summer's end. This decision follows the state of Wisconsin Investment Board's purchase of at least $160 million in Bitcoin ETF shares earlier this year. In Paraguay, Bitcoin miners are urging the government to reconsider an upcoming electricity price hike of up to 14%, warning it could harm the economy and cause losses of up to $1.5 billion. This increase announced by the National Electricity Operator, Administración Nacional de Electricidad, will take effect on August 1st. Bitcoin mining and data center operator Hive Digital is expanding its operations in Paraguay. The new site will utilize 100 megawatts of hydroelectricity and is expected to support an additional 6.5 exahash per second, reports the Miner Mag. The Argentine General Inspection of Justice has approved the registration of companies that include Bitcoin and other digital assets in their social capital. This marks a significant update in Argentine corporate law, providing a legal avenue for incorporating digital assets into corporate structures, reports Atlas 21. Illuminodes, a Salvadoran technology initiative, and the Para Vida Hospital Group, a hospital group in El Salvador, have announced the first real-world healthcare pilot using the Nostr and Bitcoin protocols, set to be implemented in hospitals in San Salvador. Russian legislators appear to be set to finally adopt a regulatory framework that legalizes Bitcoin mining and permits the use of cryptocurrencies for international trade. This development follows Vladimir Putin's calls for stricter regulations on mining and praise for the digital ruble CBDC pilot. In other news, the Russian authorities said they have seized 500 Bitcoin mining rigs, while RT reported that the country is exploring the use of recycled manure for mining operations. At the same time, Bitcoin Policy UK has sent a letter to the UK's Chancellor Rachel Reeves and City Minister Tulip Siddiq, urging the government not to sell its 61,000 Bitcoin seized in 2021. Republican Senator Cynthia Lummis of Wyoming is reportedly preparing to introduce new legislation that would require the Federal Reserve to hold some Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset. More on that later. Switzerland has significantly advanced its federal law on the use of electronic means for the fulfillment of government tasks, which mandates the use of open source software in the public sector. Europol's latest report, titled Internet Organized Crime Threat Assessment, indicates that Bitcoin remains the most popular digital asset in cybercrime cases involving cryptocurrencies. However, the use of altcoins, particularly stablecoins and investment fraud and Monero and ransomware attacks, is on the rise. On July 11th, a security breach occurred involving a bank linked to Coinbase, exposing the names, bank account numbers, and routing numbers of 154 exchange customers, reports Atlas 21. British watchdog Financial Conduct Authority fined Coinbase's UK arm, CB Payments Limited, £3.5 million, or $4.5 million, on Thursday for onboarding 13,416 high-risk customers. And finally, social media platform X removed the hashtag Bitcoin hashtag emoji. What? What's wrong with them? Okay, next up for the news. These are all things that basically came out of the Bitcoin conference this week that I thought were worth talking about. The first one is from CoinDesk. This was updated on July 26th. Articles entitled Bitcoin to account for 7% of global wealth, surge in price to $13 million in 21 years, Michael Saylor. It will surprise approximately no one that Michael Saylor remains wildly bullish on Bitcoin, and the MicroStrategy executive chairman didn't disappoint on Friday, saying he sees the world's largest crypto's price rising to $13 million by 2045 in his base case scenario. Delivering a keynote address at the Bitcoin 2024 conference in Nashville, Saylor noted that at Bitcoin's current price of around $65,000, it's got a market cap of $1.3 trillion, or just 0.1% of all global wealth. For Bitcoin to get to his base case of $13 million in 2045, said Saylor, would require an annual rate of return of 29%. At that level, he continued, Bitcoin would have a market cap of $280 trillion and account for 7% of global wealth. In a bull case, Saylor said Bitcoin could be worth as much as $49 million and account for 22% of global wealth. His bear case was a value of $3 million and 2% of global wealth. Under Saylor's leadership, business software company MicroStrategy has accumulated a Bitcoin stack of 226,331 tokens over the last 4 years. That's currently worth about $15 billion, or roughly 80% more than the cumulative purchase price. Super bullish, as usual. Next up from CoinDesk, this was posted on July 28th. Articles entitled "Trump Backs U.S. Bitcoin Reserve and Says Democrat Win Will Be a Disaster for Crypto." Quote, "Every one of you will be gone." Former U.S. President Donald Trump promised to maintain a strategic national Bitcoin reserve and never sell the government-seized Bitcoin in a freewheeling speech that tightened the Republican candidate's grip on the crypto voting and fundraising bloc. Leading up to the event, there had been speculation and hope among crypto fans that Trump would announce such a reserve. Speaking in a packed hall Saturday before over 3,000 attendees at the Bitcoin conference in Nashville, Trump said of Bitcoin, "I want it to be mined, minted, and made in the U.S." He then laid out a comprehensive crypto policy that spanned from stablecoin regulation to the right of self-custody of one's Bitcoin. The speech capped Bitcoin's steady march from the internet's deepest niches into the heart of American politics, whereas once it was the vilified coin of choice for darknet markets. "If we don't do it, China will do it," he said of embracing digital assets. "Crypto is the steel industry of 100 years ago. You're just in your infancy," he said. "One day it probably will overtake gold. There's never been anything like it." He added that Democrats keeping the White House would be a disaster for crypto. "If they win this election, every one of you will be gone. They will be vicious. They will be ruthless. They will do things and you wouldn't believe." If elected, Trump said his day one plans included firing Gary Gensler, the influential chair of the Securities and Exchange Commission, who is widely reviled in the crypto industry. The promise drew huge applause from the crowd. "I didn't know that he was that unpopular," Trump said. Trump also said he will appoint a Bitcoin and Crypto Advisory Council upon taking office. Trump arrived at Nashville's Music City Center after a major campaign fundraising event that targeted deep-pocketed crypto executives and raised tens of millions of dollars, according to sources. Thousands of Bitcoiners camped out for hours to see the former president, a new convert to crypto after previously blasting digital assets. He's now the first president to appear at a Bitcoin event. In the opening moments, he thanked the event's organizers and said there were lots of legends in the room. Trump name-checked several crypto figures, including Tyler and Cameron Winklevoss, the founders of the Gemini crypto exchange, and MicroStrategy's Michael Saylor. Crypto exploded onto the 2024 election agenda in late May when Trump declared himself the industry's candidate and declared, "If you're in favor of crypto, you're going to vote for Trump because they want to end it." His embrace supercharged a partisan realignment inside the crypto industry's upper echelons. Suddenly, well-connected voters, hedge fund lawyers, startup founders, and funders alike who had previously voted Democratic began murmuring about supporting Trump as a salve to years of perceived bullying from President Joe Biden's regulatory state. They were joined at this three-day conference by throngs of diehard Trump fans who piled into Nashville wearing "Make Bitcoin Great Again" hats of every color. To many of the 20,000 attendees, supporting Trump seemed a foregone conclusion. It just so happened he also now supported Bitcoin. Behind the scenes in Nashville, industry leaders rewarded Trump's pivot with mounds of cash to fuel his campaign. A fundraiser immediately before his speech asked nearly $900,000 a ticket. Other down-ballot candidates in Nashville held fundraisers of their own. Crypto's proponents broadly see the 2024 election as their best chance to reshape hostile U.S. regulations. Many consider Trump the candidate best suited to do it. That's in spite of his prior stance during his presidency that Bitcoin was, quote, based on thin air. Ever the marketer, after he left the White House, Trump released sellout NFT collections depicting himself in varying states of patriotism. Their millions of dollars in revenue gave the businessman a different perspective of the industry he once rejected. Before Biden dropped out of the race, his campaign made no effort to court crypto fans or Bitcoiners, at one point calling the Trump NFT buyers suckers. Coming after years of perceived lawfare from Biden-appointed Gensler, who insists the industry largely is flouting U.S. law, Biden's messaging was for many in crypto a final straw. Vice President Kamala Harris's ascendance may give Democrats a chance to reposition. Some lawmakers are pushing her for change, but the likely Democratic presidential nominee hasn't delivered yet. She's against crypto, by the way, and she's against it very big. You got to get out and vote, Trump said. Next up from Cointelegraph, and this was posted yesterday. Senator Lummis proposes U.S. government purchase 5% of total Bitcoin supply, as we mentioned earlier. United States Senator Cynthia Lummis has introduced a strategic Bitcoin reserve bill proposing that the U.S. government buy 5% of the world's Bitcoin supply and hold it for at least 20 years. It can be used for one purpose: to reduce our debt, Lummis declared during her keynote speech at the Bitcoin 2024 conference on July 27th in Nashville, Tennessee. Lummis explained that if passed, the plan will be implemented over 5 years, with the U.S. government acquiring 1 million Bitcoin, or roughly 5% of the total supply of 21 million Bitcoin. With Bitcoin priced at $68,105 at the time of publication, purchasing 1 million Bitcoin would cost roughly $68.1 billion, according to CoinMarketCap data. This Bitcoin reserve that we are going to create will start with the 210,000 Bitcoin that President Trump just mentioned and pull it into a reserve stored in geographically diverse vaults, and that's only the beginning, Lummis stated. We have the money now, but we will no longer be holding it in US dollars and assets that are designed to debase at least 2% per year. We'll be holding it in an asset that will grow in value, she added. Lummis, who is well regarded in the crypto industry for her pro-crypto stance, received a positive reaction from the Bitcoin 2024 attendees as she yelled, "This is the solution. This is the answer. This is our Louisiana purchase moment. Thank you, Bitcoin." Her speech came immediately after the highly anticipated keynote from former U.S. President and current Republican Party candidate Donald Trump. Trump announced his intent to make the U.S. the crypto capital of the world if elected in November. It comes only days after Lummis released a report arguing against President Joe Biden's administration's proposed 30% excise tax on the energy consumed by Bitcoin miners. On July 23rd, Lummis released a report titled "Powering Down Progress: Why a Bitcoin Mining Tax Hurts America," highlighting the benefits of the critical mining infrastructure to the U.S. energy grid. And this is pretty wild. If you've been in Bitcoin for any period of time, it's really been quite a turn of events to have it become such a central issue with politicians. Politicians, of course, you can't always trust them. They can always pivot after they get elected and change their minds. And Trump's certainly capable of changing his mind, as are all other politicians. But it's pretty amazing to see, just at least in terms of just the awareness that it's bringing, and perhaps the hope that self-sovereignty of Bitcoin can be preserved, and really the United States is the place to do that. So it's pretty wild. It's a pretty wild time to be seeing this for sure. And next up is from Decrypt. Edward Snowden tells Bitcoin fans to vote, but don't join a cult. So a little bit of reality dose from Edward Snowden. Edward Snowden, the former National Security Agency employee turned whistleblower, warned Bitcoiners Friday that their support of crypto-friendly politicians should be tempered. "Cast your vote, but don't join a cult," he said, while speaking virtually to thousands of attendees gathered around a main stage at this year's annual Bitcoin conference in Nashville. At the beginning of his talk, Snowden said he didn't want to make his talk about politics, but his plea was later reprised as closing remarks. Toward the middle, he spoke cautiously about the prospect of political change stemming from elections, comparing it to redressed authority. "As far as the average worker is concerned, whether we're talking about this election or any other in the last 20 years, A given election tends to result in what feels like a different uniform on the same cop, he said, and that's a problem. The backdrop for this year's Bitcoin conference has been tinged with shades of red, with former President Donald Trump slated to be its biggest speaker Saturday. Meanwhile, Senator Bill Haggerty and the former presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy spoke on Friday, too. At the same time, Snowden's speech was sandwiched between two other political chats. Before Snowden spoke, Senator Cynthia Lummis had an emphatic chat with Senator Tim Scott about Bitcoin. The presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr., an independent, came after. We have to work together, and we have to make sure they do not reduce this country to the land of the free and the home of the slave, Snowden said. The only way we will do that is if we work together. Snowden has been a prominent privacy advocate for years, warning against the sanctioning of crypto-based privacy tools like Tornado Cash. He's also been a vocal skeptic of central bank digital currencies, warning that they could serve as government-backed surveillance tools. One key element of Snowden's speech was the notion that governments will mine people's metadata using artificial intelligence tools. It's turning what was once an analyst task into heaping servings of data that can be analyzed instantaneously by complex machines. Regardless of who wins at the ballot box in November, Snowden said that the trend is unlikely to change. According to him, it's a fantasy to assume that AI isn't being leveraged to create profiles of people's personal spending habits already. As governments leverage AI technology to surveillance financial transactions, he added that Bitcoin's public ledger is a prime location for models to train. We're running out of time to fix this, and the consequences of ignoring it are a whole lot worse, he said. This is not Terminator, right? This is not Skynet. This is not robots in the sky to drag you out of your home. That might come someday, but that's a long way off. So a little reality check there from Edward. Next up is from bitcoinnews.com. This was posted on July 25th. Privacy email service provider Proton launches Bitcoin wallet. Proton, a Swiss company best known for its privacy-focused services like Proton Mail and Proton VPN, has taken a significant step into the Bitcoin world by launching Proton Wallet, a self-custodial Bitcoin wallet. This new product aims to simplify Bitcoin transactions and enhance security, aligning with Proton's mission of preserving privacy and online freedom. Proton Wallet is designed to make Bitcoin transactions as straightforward as sending an email. Users can send and receive Bitcoin using email addresses, which is a significant departure from the complex and often error-prone Bitcoin addresses typically used in transactions. This feature is integrated within the Proton ecosystem, allowing Proton Wallet users to send Bitcoin to any email address, whether or not it's associated with Proton Mail. Andy Yen, founder and CEO of Proton, stated, Proton Wallet's ability to support Bitcoin via email now makes Bitcoin transactions as easy to use as PayPal, while preserving the decentralized and non-custodial nature of Bitcoin. Yen mentioned that enabling Proton and its community to adopt decentralized payment methods helps protect Proton from the risks associated with traditional financial institutions. Proton Wallet is a self-custodial wallet, meaning users retain control of their private keys. This is crucial for maintaining the security and privacy of their digital assets. Unlike centralized exchanges like Coinbase or Binance, which hold assets on behalf of users, Proton Wallet ensures that only the user has access to their funds. Even if Proton were to shut down, users could still access their Bitcoin through a recovery phrase. Proton Wallet also incorporates robust security features, including two-factor authentication and Proton Sentinel, a security program that helps detect and block malicious login attempts. Proton Sentinel uses advanced machine learning, AI, and human analysis to block malicious login attempts with high accuracy. This protects users' accounts even if their login credentials have been compromised or accessed by a hacker. Ding-Chao Liu, director of Proton Wallet, stated, by giving users control of their own encryption keys and their own digital assets, we're offering financial freedom, improved privacy, and safety to millions of people around the world. Lou added that Proton has been accepting Bitcoin payments since its beta launch in 2016, which has been beneficial as Bitcoin's value has significantly increased. Proton's journey with Bitcoin began in 2014 during its initial crowdfunding campaign, when PayPal temporarily froze Proton's assets, nearly ending their service before it could fully launch. When PayPal temporarily froze their funds, the team added a Bitcoin donation link, which helped them receive crucial funding. This experience highlighted the benefits of Bitcoin's decentralized nature and inspired Proton to integrate Bitcoin into its financial reserves. In regards of the Bitcoin Lightning Network, Lou expressed mixed feelings. He noted the difficulty of implementing it in a non-custodial way and the unresolved user experience issues with opening channels. However, he remained hopeful, suggesting that Proton could add Lightning support in the future as solutions to these problems are found. Currently, Proton Wallet is available in early access to users on the Proton Visionary Plan, an exclusive plan for early supporters of Proton. These users can invite up to 10 others to join, and there's also a wait list for those interested in gaining access. Proton plans to roll out the wallet to all users in the future and may add support for other digital currencies based on user feedback. The Proton Visionary Plan, which costs $39.99 per month or $29.99 per month if paid annually, provides access to premium versions of all Proton products, including Proton Wallet. The wallet is available as a web app and on iOS and Android platforms. By simplifying the process of sending and receiving Bitcoin and providing enhanced security measures, Proton hopes to make Bitcoin more accessible and secure for everyday users. Proton Wallet is not just about making transactions easier, it's also about integrating with the broader Proton community, which has over 100 million accounts. The wallet leverages Proton's existing infrastructure to enhance user experience and security. Proton is also partnered with licensed third parties to enable users to buy Bitcoin in over 150 countries. Looking ahead, Proton plans to introduce a paid version of the wallet, Proton Wallet Plus, which will include Proton Sentinel protection for users at higher risk of cyber attacks such as activists, journalists, and executives. This focus on security and privacy aligns with Proton's overall mission to reduce dependence on centralized financial institutions. Proton's entry into the Bitcoin space is unique because the company is not a traditional digital asset company. It has never issued a digital currency, does not trade or speculate in them, is not an exchange. Instead, Proton is a nonprofit organization dedicated to preserving privacy and freedom online. Of course, they're probably best known for their email that they provide. Next up on the adoption front, this from the Daily Hodl was posted today. State of Michigan unveils nearly $6.6 million investment in ARC21 shares Bitcoin ETF. New documents reveal that the state of Michigan holds millions of dollars worth of investments in the ARC21 shares Bitcoin exchange traded fund. According to a new 13F filing with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, the state of Michigan retirement system has purchased 110,000 shares of ARC21 shares BTC ETF worth nearly $6.6 million, says senior Bloomberg ETF analyst Eric Balchunas. Just checked, and yes, it looks like Michigan's pension bought up some ARC-B, although we have it at 7.4 million, which is a small percentage-wise for them. But it's a start, and they are now the third pension to report owning a Bitcoin ETF. ARC21 shares Bitcoin ETF is trading for $68.04 at the time of writing, a 5.3% increase in the last 24 hours. According to ETF-focused data analytics platform VetaFi, ARC-B currently has $3.241 billion in total assets, the fourth largest Bitcoin ETF on the market. The State of Michigan Retirement System is a statewide public pension plan for Michigan state employees, including public school workers. Based on the most recent 13F filing, the State of Michigan Retirement System oversees $19.42 billion in assets. In March, SEC documents unveiled that the State of Wisconsin Investment Board is holding $163 million worth of combined shares of BlackRock's iShares Bitcoin Trust and Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust. Bitcoin is trading for $68,208 at the time of writing, a slight increase during the last 24 hours. And finally, from the Daily Hodl, also, this was posted on July 28th, article's entitled Big Short Investor Says Huge Debasement of US Dollar and Fiat Currency Driving Bullish Bitcoin Trade. One of the traders who figured out that the housing market was on the brink of collapse in 2007 said he's long on Bitcoin because of a weakening US dollar. In an interview on CNBC's Fast Money, Big Short investor and Seawolf Capital co-founder Vincent Daniel said that the deterioration in the US dollar is driving his bullish stance on Bitcoin. We were long Bitcoin, we short MicroStrategy. Being an investor or trader, when you know you're wrong, and get the hell out. As a result, we stopped our loss on MicroStrategy, but we kept Bitcoin mainly because we have a huge debasement of the US dollar and fiat currency thing. Fellow Seawolf Capital co-founder and Big Short investor Porter Collins says that aside from gold, Bitcoin is among the assets that can serve as a hedge against US dollar debasement. If I come on and pitch my long here, you wouldn't expect me to pitch a conventional idea, and it's gold. We have this dollar debasement thesis. This basket includes gold, silver, platinum, and yes, Bitcoin. If you think about the world we live in, and if you've heard this one on the tape, we hate the deficits. It's $1 trillion of debt we're adding every 100 days, and it's just too much. If you just think about that $1 in your pocket, tomorrow it's worth less. At time of writing, the U.S. has 1.268 trillion deficit and is 34.997 trillion in debt. And finally, wanted to highlight this week's featured post on the Bitcoin Fortress Substack. The article is entitled Sound Money, a Historical and Modern Analysis. And I will include this link in the show notes along with link to all the other articles that I went over this week. If you like it, please subscribe. It's free. And if you really like it, you can support me with a paid subscription. Also, before I close, I wanted to give a shout out to the top boost on Fountain this week. Once again, it's at God's Death with 537 sats. Thank you, sir. And with that, I will thank you for listening to the podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please like and leave a comment. Also, don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss an episode. I like to listen to my podcasts on Fountain where I can earn sats, kind of randomly, but you can still earn sats just for listening. You can also follow my Substack. It's at bitcoinfortress.substack.com. And you can follow me on Nostr. I am Nostr only. My NPub is included in the show notes. And with that, I will talk to y'all next week. Bye-bye.